All right, good morning. Just a little distracted trying to get rid of a few crypto positions. Gonna sell some stuff here. So we're gapping down this morning. We kind of reversed back up and then gave a teaser reversal pattern here, and then it seems like it followed through just now. All right.
Surface I'm good, but inside it's like someone keeps coloring outside the lines. I try to remember to breathe.
All right, take the profits. All right, okay, back to futures. Okay, how we going here? Nice. All right, so pattern instantly reversed, so it looks good. Looks all right. Looks all right. See if we can get above 65.50 here. If we can get back up above 65.50, I mean, we're going back up to this area and through here. That line got broke. I mean, trend line, break the trend, push an extreme. Could be major trend reversal, start coming back up. We'll see. I don't think there's anything else on the economic calendar. We got crude oil in an hour, and that's it for my session time. The jobless claims were just a tiny bit higher than they expected, like 2,000 more. So not, you know, anything unexpected, I don't think. And core CPI was a little bit higher than they expected. So we got decent news. Oh, it struggled to get above there. Can we hold the low? Holding this low would be a very low risk, high reward long if it held. It's not gonna hold. All right, nasty. Let's see here. One tick. Are we actually one? No, okay. Kind of watching Bitcoin on another screen here at the same time. I'm not too interested in a trade right now in either direction. I'm gonna wait a little bit, see how this kind of develops. So we're big chilling. Retest to the high. Break of the high now. Ooh, I generally don't let's see. I definitely don't want to see like a expanding wedge forming anymore. I'd like to see a direction chose. Great momentum play I took there on IOTX. Got out at all-time high just now. Beauty. Just a little scalp over the last half an hour. It's a pretty clean move for my momentum setup. Okay. To be honest, the daily chart went a lot of candles in a row with no pullbacks. So if we're going to stay this bullish, I would generally like to see just a very small pullback and maybe some accumulation and then another move. But if that doesn't happen, like, we've got a pretty decent move down over the next little while that could happen to try to come back down and even to test the top of this range where we found support last time. Moving average is a long ways away. We haven't touched the moving average in like almost a month, like 3 weeks. That's pretty nutty. We could be due, boys. We could be due for a small correction. I know this open right now is I'm not liking it. I'm not good at trading these expanding wedges. It doesn't match any of my systems. I just sit on the sidelines. Not a fan. Not a fan. Bitcoin just pushed all-time highs. We hit 69K on Coinbase like 20 minutes ago. And I'm very curious to see if we reject aggressively. That was a very quick pump to check above levels. If this thing gets rejected and comes all the way back down, we could be the start of our turning point for maybe a little bit of time. And we might be able to get a nice short the futures for Bitcoin. If still bullish as hell right now, but I like that quick impulse spike up to retest just above the high, and if it rejected it pretty cleanly and aggressively, that would be my input for a reversal right there. Is it gonna hold the bottom? Trying. Try to finish that expanding wedge and hold the bottom this time, make a new high. That would give some people some confidence maybe. Came back down and test that perfect valley. Currently though, kind of indecision for me. I like the looks of this. If we can hold. And our chances of gap filling increase greatly if we can actually break above 67.75 and decide that we're going to hold a higher low. Nice. Yeah, it's a double top so far. Can we get through? Can we get through? We poked through. I don't like that one tick poke, boys. I don't. Well, I do not. Not even a tiny bit. Part of me wants to short really badly right here, but the other part of me doesn't want to because we held this higher low. It might create a small trap here to get going. The trigger bar actually got some follow through, which is a pretty good sign. Yeah. See what happens here. $65.50. Didn't quite give 2 points. $64. It's a 4-point risk to get into this trade, but a breakout above this could be a great trade. Maybe going the other way. The setup and play is definitely the one tick poke short. It's just a question on if it's going to be a trap or if it's going to play through. If we break below 64, I'd say we're going. That's how I would approach. But if we break up, then, you know, there's definitely some people trying to get in short here right now. This 1 minute candle is going to close pretty poorly. It's congestion up here. Inflection point. The one tick poke definitely leads me to want to short. But holding this higher low also is... It makes sense that they would need a trap to get going here. If it goes, then we'd have some, you know, shorts trapped to fuel this market. All right. Goes above. There we go. A little bit of juice to get us pushing, just like that. Okay. Looks good. We didn't one tick poke again and then reject. That would have been pretty bad. Should be clear sky sailing now. First liquidity points like 71. I think now it's a great time for me to pee. I'll be right back. Okay.
I'm dreaming of paradises, but I'm not asleep. What's left to my own devices?
One tick below the other candle. We're testing that breakout trades right now.
But I'm not asleep.
We're gonna hold this trend line.
But I'm not asleep. What's left to my own devices, and now I'm in deep. I'm dreaming of paradises, but I'm not asleep.
1772. 1772. Okay. Sorry. Moving some crypto here.
With you, I lose my mind, I lose control, I lose it all. You take me to the sky, I'm feeling high, it's not a lie.
Break of the trend line.
It's really high with you around.
Still trying to hold this swing that we put in here.
Be the six, and baby, you'll be the nine. Tell me if you want me, boy, or mama. And if you feel my nana.
I'm not interested in the first candle to make new high. I'd have to see the second candle, like more of like a two-legged setup for this, because we only used a few candles. That's it's just kind of how I do things. The location is good.
With you, I lose my mind, I lose control, I lose it all on my mind. You take me to the sky, I'm feeling high, it's not a lie, oh my. And chase me with your eyes, it's really hot, with you around and I promise that I'm gonna be the six.
Oh,
Baby, you'll be the nine.
looks good. Didn't give me a setup, but location held. Hopefully we don't double top to the tick. First trend line break. Usually you get a test of the extreme, possibly a new extreme. We got the test so far for sure. This did kind of take a little bit too long in my opinion, considering we should have kind of just gone for that gap fill. I think if we get a one tick poke or strong bearish signals here, that this would be a great reversal trade setup. It should go. Like you'd want to, there's nothing here. We want to test it a few times. There we go. I say we've tested a few times. We need to get some going. There you go. Anybody who bought that swing test, great job. There we go. Achieved our gap fill. Kind of scrolling through altcoins here at the same time because things are moving like crazy. I've just been scalping the momentum. So we've officially achieved our gap fill. It was nice. Looking nice with it. Got a nice one-timing push on the 5-minute chart. Now achieved our gap fill. So we kind of maybe were in a channel. Maybe it's trying to break out of it. Doesn't really draw that clean for me. It's kind of in like a channelish. Oh, my targets got hit. Nice.
Dreams, I'm in love with how it feels. The colors of the fantasy, the colors of you and me. I don't even know your smile, I don't even know your name. All I know is that you'll be my fairy tale. Kissing under the sky, making a feeling so high until the morning lights in the hot day of July. Kissing under the sky, making a feeling so high.
Look at that big stacked order. Oh, it disappeared. Normally I'm noticing more and more that maybe the high one setups early in the morning do work. Normally I only take a high one in an aggressive trend. Now, I mean, you could argue this is a pretty good push. But I have a prerequisite for usually the amount of candles in a row I like to see that don't break the lows of themselves. To take a high one, or I often on a pullback I expect like a 2. But I noticed that like I want to be long during some of this. I didn't want anything through here. After we one tick poked, I was getting interested in a short or a squeeze, depending on which one of the swings broke. The swing broke up, so a buy through this zone made sense, risking off the swing point, looking for the actual gap fill. And it worked out beautifully, but you would have had to take it over this candle here. First candle to make a high, long, or I used limit orders just expecting price action to develop. But I tend to not do that. I tend to often wait for price action in the right zone to develop and then take the entry over. Kind of like you give up a little bit of risk to reward, but you get a little bit more confirmation. Seems like we reacted off the moving average there pretty strong. We're gonna give a little bit deeper of a pullback now after we double top. What's our contract count here? $160K, so normal, average. Let's save this. Two nice little scalps there. We're going stalling here. Got an inside candle on the 5-minute chart. Buying above that after this many candles in a row, one timing, followed by an inside candle, is often a good play for me. Expecting a continuation of the move, basically a measured move. We're gonna go lower. Would cancel the trade if we go lower. Yeah. So now we kind of have like a two-legged pullback happening off of a double top. Was a good test. Two-legged pullback back to the moving average. A double top stall. It's not the worst long, that's for sure. But not for me. We're gonna come down a little lower. Hasn't broken below yet. Certainly trying, failed to make a high. Expect it to break this. Still trying to hold that double bottom, hitting a couple more longs. I don't know. I definitely, the double top didn't continue. Went a little lower, still didn't continue. Now we're testing the same swing again. It's not clean. It's not clean. We do have a nice push up though. So the way that I do this is if I close an inside candle, the next one goes higher, I'll break out above, stop below, expecting measured move. The other way is if we get a small pullback, I buy above the first candle to make a high. So that would now be officially this one. But depending on how this plays out, this candle may just come up and break out. Because it is the start of a new candle. The 1 minute chart now, we've kind of held a double bottom, poked above that swing that pushed the double bottom. That could now in turn hold and us go higher, potentially. Could look at it that way for sure. I'll remove this line. It is struggling up here though. But you would want to I did that yesterday too. Weird. It's trying. So there's a triple top now so far. Are we gonna go? There it is. It tested one tick above. We're gonna get a little bit more than one tick. It is extremely bullish looking. I would be very surprised if it failed a one tick poke, but it did struggle through here quite a bit. But that being said, looking at the 5 minute chart, it's a really strong push. Small pullback. Although it did one tick poke at an inflection point. We've gap filled. It has slowed down here. Could be forming a good short here. If we get a nice 2-bar reversal, which we are. Not really. Not so much. Didn't close at the low. Not as interested. Getting some alerts here. Oh yes. Yeah. I'll be honest. I really don't like that one tick poke. I don't like that it took 2 bars to do a signal, and I'm going to breakout trade this top if we come back up. Because I feel like there'll be some stuck shorts. It'll actually be obeying my high one rules. And we'll see. But we're going to be looking for extension. You know, I don't want it to stall. I want to see like a little squeeze pop, ideally. Probably will fill me here. I have a big move, right? Let's say 60, 77. We got like 17 points for a measured move, but kind of taking the entry on the 1 minute chart for a 5 minute setup. So we have to be a little bit careful here. We want to see a little bit of a push. Kind of get a little bit of wind behind us. So this is going to be the pullback to test the breakout. Want to see this start to go in our favor. Be moving my stop up if this candle turns and goes the other way. To show that we successfully held the retest of the breakout and tries to go. Well, I won't want it if it comes back again. It's kind of taking a little bit too long as it is. See how they close this candle. Went a little bit lower. Yeah, probably gonna get caught now. I need to have my stop under the 5 minute swing point. Okay, we wait. Damn, this one's moving. I would be extremely surprised if it didn't break this 1 minute support. 5 minute trade entry pretty much always breaks the 1 minute support, which is why I have to be so careful about taking an entry like that on the 1 minute price action for a 5 minute setup. 5 minute setup fired. There it is. So I have to have my stop under the 5 minute level. It's just has to be that way. But it looks like I'm gonna get stopped out. 2 ticks of room under the stop. Nasty, eh? What a top tick fill. Bought the top. Bought the top. See how quickly it turns around too. If see how quickly it turned around too, and it didn't like that area. It didn't do it off a 1 tick poke though. It did go a whole point. It's all right, gives us information. If this gets stopped out, then we know that the 5 minute chart is potentially reversing. I really liked the setup, you know, we had a nice strong push, got a high one setup. The only thing is, though, technically I did buying the high one setup was buying past extent or into extension. That's kind of the only shitty thing. All right, we took the L. That is A-okay. We'll see if we get any kind of continuation here back the other way. This market gonna chop me out and then go. I suspect now this is either going to be a trap, and we will squeeze up, or potentially come back down, retest down here. It was an aggressive move for it to just turn around like that. I definitely didn't expect that. Although it is trying to break above this swing. Could create a trap to get some people short and then, you know, squeeze them out to be able to, for it to come up and break this high. Maybe. All right. Went a little lower. Oh, only a one tick though. This may be the start of our next long entry here. Successfully now done a two-legged pullback back. It's a pretty nice signal candle from the one tick poke. Do we gonna get some follow through? Maybe no follow through. Definitely didn't get the follow through right away. Can we go lower than 25 or we hold? Got an inside candle after. Indecision after not the greatest signal bar. This seems like a good time to go pee. Part of me does want a long above 75.50. I think I should, right? There's no reason why I shouldn't. It's going to be a missed opportunity if I don't. We're holding this one tick poke. If it fills on this candle, it didn't. Need to get out. Okay, now I can't. I'll be right back. Yeah. And that's why you do it on the first two candles. Look at that. One tick above would have filled the order. Instant rejection. Okay. My 2 candle rule saved me another loser trade right there. That's nice. Made it to the moving average now. Came back, we tested this top now. Let's see if we start channeling down. Doesn't really connect nice at all. I mean, we got a nice push up. We took our high one, it failed. We got it reversed on this. So we're in potentially first leg down, come up, and then another leg down maybe for a two-legged correction. The setup that happened was very nice for me. And the fact that it lost gives me pretty good information, you know. Wouldn't have wanted to see that kind of reaction off of that build up. So it could be exhausted up here and I mean, I don't know if we pull all the way back, if we hold this moving average, maybe. It's trying to hold the moving average right now. I'm not the biggest fan though of longing, to be honest, at all. Not yet. The location is decent, but what we did up here just leads me to believe a different theory. So I got a big chill. Just trying to hold without breaking lows of candles, which is interesting.
It feels like just the other day when we had nothing to say, but now you keep me away. Now every time I think of you, I smile.
I need a different music playlist. Let's try this one. I mean, this is holding. Like, it looks... okay. I've got conflicting, theories though, so I'm trying to be patient until something really stands out to me. We did have a bullish move. We got a reversal like failure though, but it is holding the moving average. It didn't go very far. On the 1 minute chart, we do have clear like momentum trying to build here. Candles aren't going lower at all. First little break here of this small downtrend correction. This is the first candle to make a new high on this pullback. That is literally a beautiful, beautiful spot to short if it holds. expecting a new leg down on the 5-minute chart. No signal though. Didn't hold the 1 tick. Nah. Technically, this 1 minute reversed, but we did hold. Yeah, it's a good spot to short for that 5-minute chart. Really good. Got a nice follow through off the signal candle too. If I was short, I'd fully be holding this expecting a break of 70. It is absolutely where I would be. Yeah, great theory. Even this approach was slightly, bullish. It just made sense, right? 5-minute reversed. It's going to come retest, retry. Where's it going to retest? Probably to where it can get some liquidity from, which would be right on these 1-minute stops. We got the bearish reaction. So we got the reaction from the right level. Nice follow through. It was a good short. It's a good short. It was a 3-point risk trade. You're up 1-1 so far. Looking for extension though. Definitely looking for extension. I guess the reason this is going to be the candle to come back and test entries. Part of the reason that I struggled was this. I was getting conflicting messages, so it made me nervous. It's a retest of the entries right now. High or low, but this is going to allow you to trail your stop. This candle comes down, breaks below this one, you can now remove risk. Can't yet though. Now you can. Now we're risk free. Still looking for extension below. Here. It's a perfect spot, really. Couldn't have been a better location. So you're risk free now. This comes back up and tags your stop out. You don't want to be in the trade setup anyway. Technically my circle should be here. Yep. It was so close too. We talked about it. Struggled to get involved because of the approach. But that's a-okay. Gonna have to sit on my hands now. Just wait. It's kind of struggling to extend lower anyways. It may have tagged out the trade at break even if it comes back up above 74 and a quarter. See if it goes or plays out. Kind of getting stuck a little bit. Bitcoin's pretty interesting. We did break all-time high. It was a pretty nice pump. It's holding too. Let's show the chart. Came right at the 9:30 news too, of course. Hasn't sold off aggressively though. It may hold. So many altcoins moving because of it. I was able to scalp out a couple this morning. There's a few on the daily charts too that are looking just so nice. Still hasn't hit the break-even stop yet. One tick away. It was very close. So in theory, the trade setup in play right now is 5-minute broke our trend up. It retested, kind of failed. Didn't extend lower though, so that's what I'm expecting. I'm expecting a push test below 71. But if it doesn't happen and we hold a higher low, would trap shorts for sure, which probably would give the juice to break 78. It could be kind of nasty, come up and just check a little bit above and then reject, who knows. That would scratch my trade setup, so I'd have to chill. Kind of waiting now. What's our contract count like? Pretty low. Like extremely low. We had a pretty average 150,000 contracts for A period, B period literally halved. And we're almost, you know, we're cutting that in half again. Participation is slowing. This is something that I struggle with, actually. This, if I would have been quick enough to take my trade here, when we flushed to here and then went sideways, I'd still have my trade sitting at break even because of my rule that happened with these two candles here. As soon as it retested entry, went one candle lower, you know, I can remove the risk. However, it didn't continue. Like, that was my, you know, trigger for it to actually come down and break this low, but it hasn't. And during all of this, you know, accumulation, I struggle to hold the trade. Every time that it goes a little bit extra in profit, I kind of just want to take it. Every time that it gets closer back to my break-even entry, it really forces my hand that I want to get rid of it. And then as it starts to go in my favor, I seesaw back and forth with the emotion hard. And I haven't quite came up with like a rule. Okay, that would have triggered it right there. That would have triggered our trail break-even stop. I struggle with that. I need to like come up with a systematic rule that says, you know, you hold through accumulation, you don't. This is why. I just haven't experienced it enough to like decide how I want to really form that. We didn't get rejected immediately from that little pop, so we could hold a higher low here. I just got to sit on my hands. There's not really a setup for me here. Might have something like this going. See if it respects it. The location that we pulled back to is decent for sure, but the way that it happened doesn't encourage me. My one trade that I took that lost, I will show you. I literally bought the top. Was pretty good time. But generally when I have one of my setups is when I have identified momentum and we had like nice higher high, higher low candles. If I get so many in a row, like, you know, I like to either buy above the first inside candle or buy above the first candle to make a new high. So on this particular setup on the 5-minute chart, show you. This was our first candle to make a new high. Now, I bought the second we broke above it, so I literally bought the top and it immediately smashed me out. But generally for these trades, it gives a nice measured move. I've had good success with that in the past, but not this time. But that's okay. The only difference is, and I'm trying to keep lots of pictures of them and journals, is that technically buying above the high this time, I was actually buying like really deep into the breakout. Whereas normally, you know, maybe our first candle to make a high was down here. So then buying above it, I wasn't actually buying above high a day that time. So that could be food for thought. I'm not 100% sure yet. But definitely interesting. Definitely interesting. something to note anyways. It's definitely trying to hold a higher low. Maybe we can back up and actually test above here. It is respecting this downtrend line a little bit. If there's any charts you guys want to look at together while we're waiting, just let me know. Take a peek. We can talk about it. But for now, no trades for me. One scratch, one loss. Price action's not what I wanted to see after that move up. So either maybe we get some momentum step in again for me to get involved in, or she could be a slow choppy grind, maybe back down. I would want to say that volume needs to kind of like step in, and we need to push here pretty soon if we're going to continue. Otherwise, if we fail to hold this high or low and come down, go underneath, maybe there's one chance it tests liquidity, tests the stop outs, and then gets maybe big bullish pressure. Maybe that could happen. If that scenario doesn't happen though, I mean, we're coming back down to here. Test the top of this range and then ultimately potentially test the bottom of it, but nothing in between. So that's kind of how I'm looking at it. We're either holding somewhere through here or we're coming back to test the top somewhere and then ultimately the bottom. It's trying to hold a higher low, but that's kind of how I'm looking at it. Maybe we break right here. Could be. Definitely could. Could happen. Do you guys trade higher lows? Do you like higher lows on stuff like this? In the past, I struggle with trading higher lows. Every time that I try to trade higher low setups, I just feel it feels weird to me because I end up getting cut, chopped so many times in the past that a lot of my strategies now have been developed into waiting for like a pain to get hit, like a stop out area to get touched. Specifically, if it goes like one or two ticks past the stop out area and then gives a signal in the opposite direction, I generally love those types of setups. But when I trade a higher low setup like this, I'm like, well, what if it just goes into accumulation and then ultimately comes down and chops me out? It hasn't hit like that stop out area yet. Hasn't forced anything, in my opinion. I like to see stop outs that I know where there's stop outs, like here, right? And the reason that I wanted to short it right here was because I knew the 5 minute had already stopped trending up, pulled back pretty good. And then on that retest of the swing high, the liquidity for stops would have been above these 1 minute swings. It went there perfectly, gave a nice 2-bar reversal, engulf candle closure, and then we had follow through right away. That to me was a good short right there, right on my circle. Stop out above, but ultimately I was looking for extension lower. Never got it. This stuff happened first. So more indecision, you know? This is nasty trading for me. I was fully on board for still looking for positions until basically this happened. As soon as this happened, Nah, I'm really sitting on my hands. Bitcoin's still chilling sideways. There's some altcoins that are really moving. More indecision. More indecision. I have this big message above me that says I have to restrict myself to only the very best setups, even if it means I sit on my hands for hours. I'm trying so hard to, you know, be disciplined with that more to improve my consistency. So it might be a little boring, but I've got to do it. Some days, the first 2-3 hours, I get 3, 4, 5 setups, and then other days, 1, 0. We gotta tease the break and reject. It's very range bound right now. Very range bound. Oh, we're trying. Technically, this would confirm a higher low, possibly, and then our two-legged pullback technically now happened. Yes. So, one thing to remember, the way that I do TA anyway, because this broke our stair stepping up, we retested, came back down, didn't break a low. So generally, if we fail to break a low, market will test the high. So market came back up, broke above the high that failed to make a low. And now, you know, there was lots of stop outs through there again. Still not ever breaking the original failure. Maybe, you know, they refill shorts up there again, and that confirms like a 1, 2, 3 correction. Now we go down and finally make a new low, or we reject this area just for a couple minutes, accumulate a few, you know, retail shorts, and then that gives their stop outs will fuel the market to go higher. 5 seconds left on this 5-minute candle. It's a pretty nasty rejection candle on the 1 minute. It also triggered the short for people who like to short off those breakout candles. Our downtrend line was definitely respected though. Now I broke out of it. They're trying to hold the breakout. If we come back up and break above this, I would say that we will make a new high for sure. But anyone's guess. It's definitely getting some rejection from those levels. I still stand by kind of our original thesis too of that if this market comes back down, we kind of have to hold this level. I wish that this platform I could move these boxes further over. Short's looking like it could be more and more juicy. Anyways, it needs to hold just below here, right? If we go just a tiny bit below and gets big bullish pressure, that'd be great. But if we don't, I mean, there's nothing in between. We're coming back down to test the top of this area. And then depending on the reaction there, maybe the low of it, maybe underneath it. I'm not sure. That's the first area. How's Bitcoin doing? Still looks good. Still holding. You guys crypto trade at all? Dabble with anything else? Or are you mainly E-mini traders? We maybe have like an increasing bottoms here slightly. Yeah, sure. Do I want to remove that yet? Kind of, but I guess for this one broke the swing. We held the lower low or the higher low, and then we did ultimately move up one more time. We would like to try to not break below that swing point now. Man, price is very ranged right now. Very range bound. I don't know if anything's gonna happen in time for me to get another trade in or not. I only trade for the first 2.5 hours. I don't like to trade going into the lunchtime hour, and I don't like the mid-afternoon to later afternoon can be okay, but in my journey so far, I guess I've really noticed that I like to try to catch some of the early morning moves, and then generally I find the market kind of fizzles out until after lunch, and my past performance coming back after lunch is not anywhere near as good as the morning, so I've pretty much just eliminated all those times from my trading of the futures anyway. Small push up, filled the gap, sideways, no continuation. Daily chart though does look juicy, right? I mean, what a run before we had a pullback. As far as swing trading goes, depending on where this day closes, great long opportunity. But we could be due for a pullback to the moving average, come back, test some of these areas. Hard to say. Depends, for me, it depends completely on where this day closes today, as far as swing trading. Forgot to make a fire this morning. It's chilly. Oh, the last hour has been pretty brutal. Hopefully you guys aren't getting cut up too bad. Maybe you guys are good at trading range bound. Maybe you're sitting on your hands too. Pretty minimal red for this type of day, so really only taking another setup if it's really good for me. It's got to match everything, otherwise be back at it tomorrow, depending. I'm gonna give it like about another half an hour here, and then that'll be my cutoff. I'm gonna want to either see the chances of momentum stepping back in now, maybe in a few hours after lunch, but I just can't see it. It might just be a slow grind for the next 2 hours. This amount of accumulation, though, I mean, could result into a grind for the afternoon in a direction after it decides its direction. I would assume up, but there's no real play for me to participate in something slow like that. Quite a few orders stacked at 77.75 here. That's another thing I've noticed. Usually when you see stacked orders like that on the dome, it's like that's gonna get filled. I've almost never seen it not. You see that big order and it draws the market right to it. Maybe not now, but eventually. Yeah. Rough. Boring. Slow. We chilling though? Yeah. Literally only got 1-to-1 on this trade. If you exited at the bottom tick, which you probably wouldn't have got filled, the trade would have ended up becoming a scratch right there. If there's any other charts or anything that we should look at, you guys are noticing anything moving, something that looks good, something you want to look at, just hit me up, let me know. Gladly pull it over on stream and look at it. How did crude inventories do? Oh, they were way low. Take a look at crude futures here for a sec. Ooh. A bit of a sell-off this morning. I was looking at, I had this level marked at nice on the daily from before, It did breach it though slightly. Just. We kind of had a nice trendline break, tested the extreme, pushed a new low. This new low technically now came up and broke. Is it going to break and hold above? Kind of interested a little bit. We'll put that down there for maybe range situation now, unless we can get back above here. But the thing I really like about oil is that, man, there's nothing here. Like when we got above our 80 level or 77 level like that, and it got above it, you know, pretty nice with it, you know. Small pullback, didn't even come back to test out the breakout level yet. Oil, I mean, we're looking at like $100. There's nothing till $100, man. And even still, like generally, you're gonna test like a liquidity point. So here, 108 maybe, or you know, maybe it tests in the valley first. But we're kind of in no man's land. For me, I would very much expect, if we hold this little level, you know, this up here could happen quickly, but just my opinion. Still range bound, folks. Just disgusting. I mean, we're in like a 4 or 5 point range, depending on if you fade the absolute extremes. Could argue we are getting slightly higher lows, so maybe be fading the bottoms, but still only mean reversion, right? Like taking it back to the middle, maybe aim to the high. It's tricky. I'm not a big fan of trading little small ranges generally. Still looking at that 77, 75, big stacked orders. Still not hit. How did PayPal ever hold today a little bit? A little bit, yeah. Man, it's been a wild sell-off. What a wild sell-off. We have such a massive gap now on the chart too. Like, let me tell you, man, PayPal is going to be a decent buy here at some point when it starts to put in the bottom. Got a lot of upside potential. Just need to see that happen. My Facebook setup as well. Show you guys. So generally, break of a downtrend, push a new extreme. That's when I start looking for reversal setups. This is right when we got that metaverse announcement. So I take, you know, we got a nice candle, a nice reversal candle, got some follow through. I went long just above that follow through on the third day. Came up, we broke above this high. I've got the start of a nice reversal pattern happening. Market's kind of pulling back for the last couple days. It's testing my entry. Ideally now this starts to go in the other direction. I will remove risk to this new swing point, and ultimately I'm looking for this to potentially stair step back up and check a few points. Look, first target will be through here. Next target would be under the underside of here, and then third target obviously new all-time highs. This could take a long time, but we'll see. I like it though. I like it a lot. I like it a lot. $12.30. Market participation numbers looking like look at the volume. First candle we had some volume and then it literally just died. Lower than average on every next candles. Even though that is the case, we didn't tank, right? We pushed up to the gap fill and we've gone into accumulation. So it's not super bearish. The longer we accumulate here, I mean, realistically, could be a bigger move to the upside. Or it could come up and barely test above and fail and roll right over. I don't know. That'll be something that I will also be watching for. The market barely came above and then reversed. But that kind of already happened. And now we're just in accumulation. Or distribution, whatever you want to call it. We're range bound up here. There's both market participants. Who's the stronger participant? I don't know. We do have rising bottoms. Could argue that. A couple higher tops. Are we going to respect this line again? You can tell it's really range bound because every time that think it's about to make a move, it just like immediately doesn't. Reverses the other way. It's like, oh, it looks really good. This is a nice setup for continuation, and then it's just like, nah, we're just kidding. We're going back in the middle. I'm getting a little bit of sells though. It's the first time it broke this area. Still range bound though, right? Like absolutely still range bound. Ultimately, this is the last swing point. Yes, sir. Right back into the box. That is a little bit of momentum step back in. Maybe they've accumulated the amount of shorts they wanted to. I couldn't long drag any of this for that one reason, right? Like we broke the stair stepping after what should have been a nice continuation. So, and then we rejected pretty strong the first time, but couldn't get going. So failed to break the low. We're going to come test above that swing. And then we went into accumulation up there again. Like it just didn't look good for either direction for me, really. Excuse me. Now, we definitely hit some stops there, right? Some of these swing points that hadn't been tested in like half an hour or more, we definitely hit them. Do we go right back up into the middle? Did those stop outs get bought, get absorbed? I still stand by the same TA. For me to do anything, I got to see what happens below this swing point, right? Below this 5-minute swing point that did all this. Depending on what happens, maybe a very good long. If it does not struggle, it rejects the lower low right away. But if it doesn't, I mean, like I said before, we're coming back into here. There's the new low. So our 5-minute chart did essentially a 2-legged pullback and then extended lower. So for me, if this was going to hold, it would have had to have held like right here. Even a little higher would have been better. And we could absolutely see this market come back down to here relatively quickly. So if you were under those pretenses of like the basic, leg counting for this 5-minute chart, you had an opportunity here to short, risking off the high, anticipating a break of the low. Huge risk to reward if you had the patience to sit through all this. I swear, I always have to pee at like the worst times. One tick below that little buy up candle, and then yeah. Decent rejection from that low. This looks like a short squeeze starting.
Shout my name, and I come running to catch you again. I love names, but I still follow my heart to an end. You met me in the dark, you filled my walls up.
So this went one tick below that rejection candle. It would have triggered a lot of short selling systems, especially off this moving average. There's gonna be some shorts that are in heat. They're kind of getting a little nervous. See if they can retake this low, or if it actually starts to squeeze up a little bit.
Don't have to wait, you know my name. Sunshine and rain, some things don't change. Thinking about the days we were young, girl. Innocent in our ways, we were dumb, girl.
I took it back.
Really mattered, I could always count on you. We were young, girl. Your touch will leave me breathless, so let me give it back to you.
And maybe I don't want your love. And maybe I don't want your love. And maybe oh my, you're my broken heart. You're my and maybe I don't want your love. And maybe I don't want your love. And maybe oh my, you're my broken heart.
Keeps going one tick lower.
We were young, girl. You don't have to wait, you know my name. Sunshine and rain.
I didn't take this low one entry here because it was close, but I need 5 in a row, and we hesitated here. This was where the setup almost happened, and then, you know, it reversed. So I'm looking, and I would be potentially interested if this got one more push up and then a fail. But at the same time, if this comes up and breaks above here, there's going to be shorts trapped right now. So if this broke up above and we got a flush the other way, I wouldn't be interested at all. But if it came back up here and got choppy, or came up back here, went one tick above, maybe two, and rejected, then I would 100% short. It may just go off this one. It's definitely trying. We're struggling to make a single candle high and slowly taking lows out, one tick at a time. It's the first candle to make a high. See if the algos push it the other way, or if this is the last test before a dump. $12.41. Oh. If I take a position now, or if it presented right, I'd be holding it into the lunchtime. I can feel it. I'm gonna go pee and watch what happens for the next 5-10 minutes. Oh, there it is. So it did not hold. All right. It went off of the low one. Well, all right then. Like I said, we're coming down to test these highs. The liquidity level didn't hold, so that was a decent short, really, right there on that breakout below slow. This was trapping the longs before the dump. There's nothing here that I would want to long from. Other than you could count legs, we did a 1, 2, 3. We've done three, a 3-legged pullback. That last swing point. I think that's probably where I'm going to call it right there. 12:45. I don't want to take a position into the lunchtime hour. Sucks that didn't really get what wanted. It's the way of the road. Can do a quick review here. We anticipated either a gap fill or a sharp move down this morning. There was no decisions made because we opened up with a megaphone pattern. As soon as we came back up and held a higher low and broke above here, we were like, okay, potentially looking for longs, looking for a gap fill target. Held one more time, broke up. During this pullback, we were watching for longs, but it didn't set up how I wanted it. So I missed the move. And through here again, didn't quite get like what I was looking for. So ultimately I missed the 2 trend extension trades that, you know, did take us to our ultimate target. Once we got up here and got kind of choppy and nasty, I was not interested too much, except I had a situation on the 5-minute chart that we were eligible for. We took it, literally ended up trying to break out, trade it, anticipating, you know, a tiny pullback. It looked great, buy above the first candle to make a high, looking for a measured move to the upside. Didn't get it. Measured move to the upside did not happen. Got stopped out right away. And that one factor, because our stop out is in a proper location, right? It's underneath the swing point. That now told us that this market was, you know, not primed for an up move anymore. Here, talked about potentially going short, but didn't. Wasn't quick enough. Really, I wanted it to come test this location above the 1 minute swing points, because it's a 5-minute chart pullback, right? You almost always will check the liquidity above and below the previous lower time frame swing points. At least that's how I've learned. So we successfully tested that area and got a beautiful 2-bar reversal rejection. So going short 1 tick under, that was a good entry. You would have been looking for extension to the downside. We didn't get it, and instead the market went stagnant. There was one opportunity here where it came up and retested our entry and then went a little bit lower. That would have eliminated my risk and allowed me to trail my stop to that new location. Didn't follow through and instead got choppy, pinged me out at break even, and then market got choppy for the rest of the time. Ended up not being able to successfully go lower or higher until we created a 2-legged pullback on the 5-minute chart, still failing to break this high, and then ultimately rolling over. And yeah, didn't have enough momentum here. You could have maybe tried to trade the breakout of this inside candle for a quick scalp. Entry and stuff here, not really, because 1, 2, 3, 4, it's not perfect. So it's not perfect, and it's also at 12:30. It just has 2 things that already are making me go, do I really want it? Not really. 71.75 entry, 73.50, so almost 2 points of risk to get in, and You barely got 1-to-1 on that trade, which is not, you know, do you want 1-to-1 for do you want 1-to-1 for potentially two things that are making you go, not really. It's like 1.2 to 1 if you like nailed the bottom, which again, like you're not going to. You're going to wait for it to react a little bit and then dump the position. So you've been lucky to get 1-to-1 realistically. Just not, it's not worth it. It's not worth the risk. And then same thing here when we pop back up. Again, still looking for shorts, but I wasn't interested in a low one opportunity. I would have rathered this market attempt the low one and do a second one and fail. And then I would have been more interested. But it didn't happen. It worked off the low one. And we continued down. Something that I am noticing a little bit is it's kind of like I've adjusted my low one entry or high one entry to only be available to take if I have 5 candles in a row before it failing to make or failing to break themselves and always going with the trend. That's kind of like the first criteria. But I've noticed a lot lately that sometimes you get 4. Like it's often that we get 4 and then I could have taken a trade and I'm missing it because it's not 5. You know, like if we would have removed the 5 to a 4 aspect, would that have enabled me to take some trades today that I missed? Like looking, nothing through here, but I did get one here. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we get inside candle, buy a break of the inside candle, so you'd be 73.25. Stop under the inside candle, 70.25. So you get a 3-point risk, and we go basically straight to gap fill. So you got your ultimate target there. So that trade could have worked. Then nothing else happened. Don't get 4 in a row. Nothing here, nothing there. There's nothing through any of that. And then you would have got another one potentially here. We got our 5-minute chart, which is saying negative momentum. 1, 2, 3, 4 candles, inside candle, break. This is the one that's like, you know, did I really want it? I don't know. It's a work in progress. Still not 100%. Not sure if I want to make the adjustment or not. We applied the 5 candle rule here, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 candles in a row, actually. Higher highs and higher lows. And then the trade that we took did ultimately lose, but had very good potential for a large move, right? If that was going to continue, could have happened. Maybe one thing that I could have thought about a little bit was that when this trade triggered, it was 11:20. And if I look at the volume on the A session and B session, it's not open drive numbers. It's not at all. So that was kind of like an open drive continuation play was the idea. But generally the open drive has, you know, like big contract numbers like this one, right? 10, 30, 11 candles. We're at like 200K, both of them. That is important, right? Need that huge participation to continue like that. And it wasn't there. But yeah, be back at it same time tomorrow morning for market open. I'll be here 10 minutes live before market open. And yeah, hope you guys have a good rest of your day. See you tomorrow.